There we are. The strange case of Rupert Lowe. He never seems to be out of the spotlight. Rupert, Rob, Arthur, Lowe, low key, the former Reform UK MP who made a stab in PMQs to ask a question. And, it's one revelation after another. And this one, I suspect, is probably going to hit home. This time not by policy or parliamentary blunder, but by uttering a phrase so outdated, so casually offensive, so revealing that it's rightly reignited the debate about anti-Semitism in British public life. And the phrase in question referring to a small recording device as a Jewish camera, with the half-hearted qualification that such a phrase is politically incorrect. Cue the laughter of those present, the ominous comment, career over in a second, and Lowe's own repetition of that damning prophecy. Well, really, this remark, let's be crystal clear, referring to an object as Jewish because of its diminutive size, taps into a long and sordid lineage of anti-Semitic tropes, those that caricature Jewish people as miserly, calculating, obsessed with frugality. It's probably worse than the Lineker image of a rat. This wasn't simply a joke in poor taste. It's a statement loaded with historical baggage, and it shows low-key up as the insignificant twit that he actually has been accused of being for so long. Only Musk would see something wonderful in Loki. I don't. We can say, if his remarks, his alleged remarks, they seem to be on record. What makes it particularly egregious is Lowe's insistence that it was clearly a joke, as anybody reading it can understand. That's rather the point, and that's the same point with the fellow from Reform the fellow from UKIP long ago, David Coburn. It was just a joke, as Farage said. Oh, it's just a joke. What we need now is Farage to come back from sunning himself in the south of France, having just learned how to use the E-gate, to say, oh, well, no, I'm going to defend Lowe. It was just a joke. Anybody can make a joke. But this defence, the tired refugee of those who confuse irony with bigotry, is itself revealing humour, doesn't absolve prejudice. If anything, it disguises it in a so much more insidious form. Anti-Semitic jokes like racist or sexist jokes are not neutral. They reinforce the cultural stereotypes that have fueled exclusion, discrimination, and in the worst cases, extermination. This episode comes after Loki's a suspension from Reform UK, a party already flirting with the populist right and routinely under scrutiny for dog whistle politics. His clashes with Farage, his apparent readiness to form a new party with Elon Musk's backing, his increasingly inflammatory rhetoric, all point to a man desperate to remain relevant or perhaps simply defiant and edging around what is acceptable. There are red lines. I think we've got too many red lines in the that are being referred to all over the place. The Labour Party has put out far too many red lines when it's talking about the redress, the relationship with Europe. Too many red lines, and we just need to get rid of a lot of those. But there are red lines. Red lines exist, and one of them is anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic jokes. And what is so damning is not the remark at all, but the context it was made in Parliament, not in a pub, not in Twitter, not in the heat of an election rally, but within the very institution charged with setting a moral example for national life. And while one might argue it was an unguarded moment recorded without his consent, public figures are not entitled to private prejudice in public office, in public places, in the corridors of Westminster. The Board of Deputies of British Jews do not mince their words. They called the language bizarre, outdated and anti-Semitic and demanded an apology. They're right. This isn't a matter of political correctness gone mad. It's about the standards we expect from those who claim the right to represent us. Reform UK, for its part, has maintained a strategic silence, perhaps unsurprisingly given its own complicated record on race and religion. Nigel Farage, who once called Lowe the future of the movement, has had little to say beyond reiterating that Lowe is no longer a member. One might say that says it all. He's no longer our member, Farage might say, but he's clearly a member, and demonstrates that with every inch of his indiscretions and foolishness. What Lowe's comment illustrates is not just a personal lapse, but a wider malaise, the normalisation of casual prejudice under the cloak of plain speaking. It's a tendency we see across swathes of political discourse today, from jibes at minorities to conspiratorial whispers about global elites. The language may vary, but the target is familiar. Rupert Lowe's defenders will call it a witch hunt. His critics will call it a moment of clarity, but we, as voters and observers, must call it for what it is: unacceptable. Because a politics that tolerates the sly revival of old prejudices is one that opens the door to their reinvention. And history, particularly Jewish history, has taught us where that road leads. Lowe said it was a joke, but if his career is really over in a second, it won't be because of the laughter, it will be because some things are no longer funny. Nor should they ever have been funny. You judge a joke by whether or not it's funny. This isn't funny. This isn't funny. And the sort of person who makes that joke, the sort of person who's been tolerated, has been tolerated too long. He should be out of office, and his constituents should call for him to resign.